David, and I intentionally just put on the slide there just to keep you guys, just keep your minds busy. I'm sure you must be wondering, what the hell is that? So my talk is going to be different. So what I'm going to do is I am going to tell you a bit about myself, my upbringing, my story, with the hopes to inspire you. I hope you do get inspired after this. And the reason why I do this is because, we all have stories. We all have things that we experience in our journey. And it's up to us, to use our stories to motivate, other people, to inspire other people, or maybe, keep it to ourselves. It's your story. You decide how it goes. So the reason why I have that slide there is because I wanted you guys to sort of get an idea of where this guy was born. So I was born in Claywood, and it looked something a bit like that, if not worse. And I had the roughest, actually that's a proper English word, but I had a very rough upbringing, and I remember, I think I was around 9 years when I lost my mom. And when I lost my mom, unfortunately at that time, we didn't even know where our dad was, right? And fortunately, my mom's sister was around, which was my aunt. So the Zulu-speaking people here know, it's only now that we started having aunts in like within the black community. Otherwise, it was just umamkhulu, so which means it's your older mother. So we didn't have aunts and whatever, it's something that we just learned, recently. So because, like my mother's sister was there, and who was umamkhulu, which is like my bigger mother, like my older mother, but she acted as a mother at that time, and she had like 4 children. My mom had 5 when she passed on, so it was like 9 of us. And my aunt was not working, and she was a single mom. Things were rough. So we had to move from Claywood, but my granny remained in Claywood. Moved from Claywood to Umlazi, because that's when we could afford going to school. Because in Umlazi, the school fees was around 50 rand per year, right? Even though it was 50 rand per year, trust me, at that time there was way too much. It was way more than we could afford. So we had to move and go and stay in Umlazi with our aunt. And then I remember we used to walk like for a good 15, if not 30 minutes to school every day. Raining, thundering, sunny, whatever the case may be, we used to go to school. And then because she was, she was the only person that was there to take care of us, we had to learn from very early that we need to do things for ourselves. Because she couldn't have, managed to wash for 9 children, cook for them, clean for them. She couldn't do everything by herself. So we had to, learn, clean, cook, do everything. And so you can't cook if there's no food in the house. I'm sure we'll all agree. So we had to, from time to time, like every Friday, from Friday to Sunday, we will go back to Claywood. So we'll catch a train in Umlazi, go to Claywood on Friday, and then we'll have my granny. That's why I have like the muscle scraps and the cardboards there. We'll have my granny, to pick up tomato scraps, to pick up cardboards, to go and sell for, they call it what? Recycling. So that's how we made money. And we'll take the money that we got from that, and we'll buy like your mealie meal, your oil, your potato, because we only ate the basic stuff. Like we didn't like eat all these things like cornflakes and all that. I started eating them when I was like old. But so we didn't have all of these things. So like we'll eat what we needed to survive at that time, right? So, and that meant that, when I come back from school, or when my siblings and I come back from school, we didn't have time to go and play. We didn't have time to go, visit our friends and all that, because, there were uniforms that needed to be washed. There were, pots that needed to be washed, dishes, you needed to cook, you needed to clean, you needed to still do your homework. Because, trust me, hey guys, I'm not sure if you know, but some mothers, hey, I am telling you. So you had to make sure that you excel at school. So there was no way that we could, go play and not do our homework, because if there was a complaint, for her to drop everything that she had to do and go at school, go and listen to your, stories of you misbehaving, my friend, I'm telling you, you will not want that. So we made sure that we, did everything the right way. And, when I was in grade 6, unfortunately, we lost my aunt. And then when I was in grade 7, we lost our granny, which meant that we were left all alone. So that meant that, we had to try now, think, how are we gonna get out of this? What are we gonna do? So what I did was, I went and looked for my dad. So I remember, I think it was around 2007, when I learned where he was working and all that, and went to, like, literally manhunt. Like, I went out there to look for the guy, and fortunately I found him. When I found him, I told him that, listen, this is the situation, so I need you to take my brother. So he was the first one to go. So I told him, I need you to take my brother. He's gonna go with you, to stay with you, and then my sister will follow, my younger sister, and then I will come after, right? Because like, we couldn't just, take every, because like, my aunt's children were still there. We just couldn't, just run, like I had to be strategic in all this. so yeah, we then went to stay with my dad, and when I arrived there, I realized that, hey, it's not so, it wasn't what I expected, because my dad, I found out that he had 9 children as well. So yeah, he had 9 children, and he was working and earning less than 2,000 rands a month. And we are coming now to add on their burden, but then, there was nothing we could have done. So what I did was, because I saw that the situation is not so great, I need to go and look for a job in order for me to be able to pay for my school fees, in order for me to, like, buy my own uniform and all that. So I found a part-time job, but which did not allow me to work on Saturdays and Sundays, but it was only on school holidays, and whenever, yeah, mostly, let's just say school holidays. So I will go there and work there, and I worked there for like, from when I was in grade 7 up until I was in grade 10. And when I was in grade 10, I lost my job at, the place that I was working in. It was like it was a messed up place. So because I lost my job, I then decided to go and volunteer at a community clinic. That's why I have that picture there. So when I visited the clinic, so guys, I'm not sure if you know how community clinics looks like, the government facilities. So it's bad. It's very, very bad. So I went there because I wasn't feeling too well, and I saw something that I didn't like. So, and I was asking myself, what can I do? How can I help? And not having skills to be on the medical sector, I then decided that I'm just gonna go and there's people that you see in the outpatient department, the people that register you when you're coming in, because a lot of people go and sit there for a very, very long time, and they go and then wait for the nurse or the doctor for a very, very long time as well. And I just wanted to help, so I worked there part-time like holidays and weekends. So I used to help when I can, right? And because I wasn't getting any income for that, it was only a voluntary thing. So I wasn't getting a thing out of that. And because I was now used to like having that money that will help me from my previous job, that will help me be able to buy my uniform and whatever that I needed. So I needed money. So I had to start selling chips and stick sweets and all that. And I remember at that time, there was this hype around corn chips. So there was those chips that they called corn chips, and the pink pops, the stick sweets. So I was like, selling those at school, in high school. And I remember when I was in grade 12, my teacher told me that, you know what, you need to stop. You need to focus on your matric. Just make sure that you pass your matric, and because if you don't make it through here, then you're messed up. Your whole life is messed up. So I was like, you know what? I know myself. I'm a hard worker. This will not. So like, throughout my whole life, I've always been, the kind of child who, when I want something, I want it. I will try and do everything that I can to get it, but still not messing up what I have going. Like, I make sure that I am gonna continue selling my corn chips and my stick sweet to support myself. But I'm definitely not gonna mess up my studies. I'm just gonna give enough time for my studies and all that. So I continued doing that up until I was in matric, and I matriculated, and knowing that I am not gonna have somebody to take me to college, I then decided to go looking for a job. And when the first place that I went to was a clothing factory, right? And the clothing factory looks exactly something like that. You have like a lot of people sitting in lines, like it's one person, behind the other, because I think they're trying, for people not to make conversations, and also just to save space, So, and I remember when they asked me, what is it that you can do? I said, everything. I've never been in a clothing factory. I was thinking, like, it was the first time I saw something like that. But I said, I can do everything. They asked me, can you run a machine? I said, yes. They said, okay, well, that's fine, because we are looking for a person anyway. They took me, they threw me on a machine. They gave me offcuts. They said, run this. We want to see if you're good at, running the operation. So in a clothing factory, so if you have somebody fitting sleeves, like it will be that person fitting sleeves. If you have somebody fitting buttons, it will be that person. If you have somebody running the envelope, it will be that person. So each person does one thing in a specific machine. So what they did was they gave me offcuts, and they said, go run it. We want to see, how good you are. And they intentionally gave me an unthreaded machine for me to thread the machine, to put the cotton through. And that thing has like, you can see it's busy. That machine is busy. So, and I just pretended as though, like I'm a, I still need to, like sort of, I'm not, God, English sometimes, just fails me, guys. I know the word, but I don't know how to say it in English. So, when somebody is like rusty on something, so I just pretended as though I'm rusty, and need a bit of time, I'll catch up, I need to remind myself. And I knew very well that I didn't know anything about this. And the lady that was there to see if I can do the job decided, I'm gonna help you thread. And she helped me thread. And then after that, I looked at, while she was helping me, I looked at the others and saw that, this thing has pedals, and they're lifting the other foot, and pressing on the other foot, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. And I put on the fabric, and I didn't even know that these machines have blades. They have blades, and the blade is there to straighten the fabric, just so that you don't have like cotton, running out on that operation that you were working on. And when I saw that thing has a blade, and it was cutting my fabric while I'm walking, I felt like jumping out of that machine and running for my life. Guys, I am telling you, I could feel my armpits sweating, I could feel my heart racing, and I was like, oh my God. So what happened then is that, like, because the boss realized that, hey, this guy can't do the job. And I begged her, I told her that, listen, I have nothing and I will do anything. If it means I have to work for free, I will work for free for a month up until, I, learn the job. And she was like, oh, okay, you know what? If you're giving me that offer, it's fine, because I'm looking for a person. You can come in, practice, and if you're good, we're going to take you. And it took me only 3 days. 3 days. So I was working for free in those 3 days. And the fourth day, I was hired because I had, like, I was like on top of my game. And I worked there for a year. That was like in 2012. 2013, I got a job in Drivco as a parking attendant. That's when my life changed. Guys, like walking here, I mean, from a guy from the township who was born in the place that I was born in, to be walking in Drivco, for me it was a great privilege. I mean, Drivco was the first big company that I saw with, okay, let's leave alone the people, such amount of cars. I've never seen a lot of cars in my life in one place. So, for me, it was very fascinating. And my first day here, I started making, those pocket conversations. There was a guy called Rory. He has left the company now. First day I asked him, Rory, what is this company about? Well, I first introduced myself, obviously. So, yeah, and I asked him, what is it that you guys do? What is this company about? And he tried to explain it. Shame, guys, he tried. It all didn't make sense to me. Like, when he was, like, he spoke about, code, he spoke about a lot of things that didn't make sense to me. And I told him that this doesn't make sense to me. And he said, if you want it to make sense to you, rather just go and study. And this guy is telling me to go and study for IT. I mean, when we were in high school, when we were looking at career options, nobody spoke of IT. It was all about social work, nursing, teaching, doctor, lawyer, all this stuff, accountants, yes. Nobody spoke about IT. And I was like, okay, I think the first thing that I should do is first understand the computer itself. Before you even go too deep, how to operate a simple computer, how to shut the thing down, because I didn't know anything about that. So I went and enrolled and took a short course on that, and there was in 2013, starting part-time and then working full-time. I was working 12 hours a day from 6 to 6, Monday to Friday. Saturdays and Sundays, I will be studying. And then 2014, I then did a course in IT. So I was also studying part-time. And in 2014, I went up to my boss. I was like, listen, I'm starting now and I need a bit of time. Can you please organize me something? Like, try and give me at least maybe 8 hours a day or whatever that the case may be, so that I can have time to study. And so they got me a job as a food service assistant. So you'll see when you guys go downstairs for lunch, that's why I have that there, the guy there. And actually that's the exact same company I was working for, but they were here downstairs. So yeah, and I was working for them, and same year, 2014, I applied for a software testing post here in Drivco. And so in Drivco, there's no favors, guys. So if you want a job, you have to go through an assessment, in order for them to know that you're competent. So they gave me the opportunity. I applied, wrote my assessment, I failed it. And I was like, okay, cool, it's my first try, I'll try it again. So they gave me 6 months. So here, when you fail, you wait for 6 months before you try it again. And I tried it again after 6 months. It was in December of 2014. I failed it again. And I was like, what the hell? And that's when I saw that the guys downstairs was, started, saying to me that, Terrence, listen, we've seen people come from UKZN, DUT, from all the, recognized institutions for these assessments and interviews. They don't get them. Why do you think they'll give you the opportunity? And I was like, you know what, the guys could be right. Because when I was working as a parking attendant, I remember there were days whereby I would see people coming in with their cars and all that and leaving and never coming back, but they will tell me that obviously they're coming for the interviews. And I was like, the guys are probably right. I mean, I've seen it happen in front of my eyes. Why would I think that they will take me? So what then happened is that, throughout that process, reflecting on the things that I've been through. I mean, from knocking on people's houses when I was still staying in Claywood, begging for food, them making me work, clean their properties, clean their yards, in order for them to give me a plate to eat. Me, eating from, and my siblings, eating from, dustbins when we would go to collect the metal scraps and cardboard. Because when we were collecting those, not like we had food or anything, we used to, pick up, when the vendors are selling, when they leave for the day, so they just throw whatever that they won't sell for the next day. So we used to sometimes leave off that, sometimes eat from the bin. And it's not like we were, the street kids that were maybe on drugs or something. No, we were just ordinary kids who were suffering, financially suffering. And, I'm thinking about all these years, my days at the clothing factory, my days working as a parking attendant, standing outside, regardless of how hot, cold, rainy, thundery it is, just to watch the Drivco staff cars. And I was like, this has all not been for nothing. This is my journey. And I'm not gonna let these guys whom I've just met here, plant all these negative thoughts in my mind about my life, about my journey, about my destiny. I was like, no, you know what? The next thing I'm gonna do is, when I go for my next assessment, I'm not gonna tell them. And that's exactly what I did. So mid-year 2015, I went for my assessment and I passed it. I didn't tell them, didn't tell my boss. Went for my interview, succeeded, didn't tell them, didn't tell my boss. And at that time, I think I was just like, I was fed up of talking. So I waited for the day when, I had to hand in my resignation. That's when I told everybody that, guys, listen, I've actually got a job in Drivco and I'm going to be joining them. I joined Drivco, it was the 1st of August. So I just told them when I was about to join Drivco. And I am now currently working, so, my next slide. So I'm now not working as a software tester, I'm now a software quality analyst. So I've just recently got my promotion. So, So I'm now working as a software quality analyst, and basically what I do is, I test software if I'm assigned, but mostly, handle projects. So I'm not sure if I should explain this to you guys, but yeah, I handle projects. I lead projects. Sometimes work with guys overseas in helping them, understand the software and also execute whatever that needs to be executed. But in my whole entire story, in my whole entire journey, my life has always been about where I wanted to go. I was always running. I was always running from something towards something. I was running from poverty towards, freedom, because it's very, very painful when you see your brothers and sisters suffering, and when you see them hungry, when you see them needing something, and you being, the eldest, not being able to do anything for them, not being able to help them. So I've always dreamed, to assist my siblings, to help them go get their education, to help them be something of their own. And that meant that, I had to run away from all the things that would not benefit me as Terrence and me as a brother. So I had to try and invest my energy, invest my time into making sure that I'm working towards the things that will benefit me. And I've worked very, very, very hard. I've worked very, very hard in a sense that I will not, want anybody to experience what I experienced if I had an option. But then, we all have different journeys. We all have different paths that we have to walk. And, in doing that, I think what keeps, the fire burning, what keeps the excitement going is where are you going? Where do you want to see yourself? You know, in everything that is happening, what is the end goal? What are you trying to achieve in all of this? I think, your destination will then channel you to the everyday activities that you should be including yourself in. Your dreams will determine your everyday life. It will guide you. It will tell you that you should be doing this, you should not be doing this. Right? And also, I've also incorporated a lot of prayer and meditation in my life. So you might not pray, you might not meditate, but sometimes I think we as human beings need to sit down, reflect, understand what is happening right now in our lives, what has been happening, and what is it that we want to see in our lives. And I don't know your story. I don't know how things are in your life, but I am sure there are situations whereby you will feel like, what, I don't think that this is for me. Where you'll be doubting yourself, where you'll be doubting the process. But in that midst, when that is happening, just look at where have you been, where you are currently, and where you are going with your life. And trust me, sometimes life will be difficult. Life will be hard on you. But for the mere fact that you're here today, for the mere fact that you're listening to me talk, you're seeing all these screens and everything that is happening, there are kids, who do not get the privilege to have people talking to them, to have people make them understand, or share with them their experiences to help them, better deal with their situations that they're facing. Because that's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you my story, give you my life in order to try and, help you, get inspired whenever you find yourself in a situation. And, think of that guy who's ate from dustbins, who's, been through a lot. And, right now, I'm proud, to say that I've been able to accomplish, what I wanted to, like put my siblings in college. And in my family, I was the first one to get driver's license. I was the first one to go to college. I was the first one to, buy a car. I was the first one to buy my own property. So in, all of those things that we want for ourselves, they can be accomplished. Even though, it might be materialistic things, even though sometimes it might not be materialistic things. Everything that we want to accomplish, we can. If we put our minds to it, if we put on hard work to it, and I'm sure you guys